Contrarians, welcome back to the Encrypted Capital Recap for Wednesday, August 24th. First off, I want to point out a cryptocurrency that I have seen breaking to the upside. And as we talked about yesterday, there's plenty of fear in the market. We tend to think that we are in a Wyckoff accumulation pattern as shown in our newsletter. And so what I wanted to point out here is that EOS is kind of one of these first movers right now. Is trading at, what was it? Maybe 82 cents, and this was back in June for the low. So we got 82 cents. If we go up to the most recent high, you're talking 140% gain. Okay, now what we're hoping for and anticipating is that we are setting what we think is going to be a bottom for Bitcoin if we hold these certain price levels that we discussed yesterday. I believe it was going to be like 20,750 or 21,750. I can't remember exactly which one. But anyways, if it starts holding the support levels and moving to the upside, that would maybe validate this Wyckoff accumulation. So with EOS being a first mover here, 140% gains pretty nice. I mean, you're talking some pretty huge money in just over the course of basically 2 months, right? And so what we want to see is some of these other top 100 cryptos start making similar moves. And as far as today goes, there's really not a whole lot going on in the market right now. Some of these assets are up, 2 to 10%, but that's just a handful of them, right? And if we go ahead, we take a look at the SPY here. SPY pulled back, had a nice healthy pullback the other day. Nothing crazy. Obviously, Powell's going to be speaking on Friday, and that's going to affect the market one way or another. So I wouldn't be surprised if we pull back a little bit further on the SPY. And if that happens, we may get another pullback or consolidation in crypto. But I do think that Bitcoin has a ton of catching up to do compared to the equities markets. And so I want to get into some other news here on some other coins. I know yesterday we talked a lot about the fear that's in the market, and there is still plenty of fear going on. Don't get me wrong. I just pulled up like 5 articles today that kind of showcased and kind of spitting out a similar narrative across a bunch of different platforms here. But one thing I did want to point out, we've talked about this time and time again in the newsletter, is Tron. And essentially, our stance on Bitcoin is that it's old technology, right? Think of it like AOL, essentially. It's got the staying power, it's got the name brand recognition, but you're still talking about a cryptocurrency that's using proof of work. And if you guys aren't too familiar with that, which I would assume most of you guys are if you're listening to us talk right now, but for the noobs here, proof of work basically is what Bitcoin runs on. It's the software that it runs on, it's the hashing power that it runs on. And in order to run the Bitcoin network, essentially the software has to solve a bunch of complex algorithms, a bunch of math problems, right? In order to do that, that really depends on the actual computing power. And that's why Bitcoin gets a lot of flack, is because there's a lot of power consumption that's being used to actually mine these cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin in particular. And so you have something like Tron, which does not operate on proof of work. It operates on proof of stake, which is basically the people that own a lot of the asset, right? The people that are staking and that own the asset that are actually validating the transactions on the network, as opposed to flipping their computers on and having their computers use up a bunch of power and mining software in order to go ahead and extract those Bitcoins. So as mentioned, Tron's consuming basically 100% less power than Bitcoin and Ethereum. And Tron essentially only runs on consumes the power of about 15 U.S. households in a year, right? That's huge. And so that really doesn't mean shit, though, unless people are actually using your cryptocurrency. But people are using Tron. If you guys don't know about Tron, Justin Sun is the founder of Tron. He also owns BitTorrent, which I believe they changed their name to something. I forget what it is off the top of my head, but I want to say it's something Berry. I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, he owns that. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars on the low end. I've seen reports of him having billions. I don't really know. It doesn't really matter. But the fact of the matter is, when you have a network like Justin Sun does of people that are in the same space that are running these assets, these coins, these companies behind these coins, it's going to be very, very easy for you to go ahead and pump each other's projects up. I mean, just think about what you would do with your friends. If one guy owned Bitcoin Cash, the other guy owns Tron, and the other guy owns Ethereum, you guys think you wouldn't be pumping each other's coins up? I mean, why do you think all of these assets don't take off at the same time? It's because mathematically, that's the way you can make the most amount of money possible. You send something up 15, 20x, you recycle the profits into the next asset, that goes up 15, 20x. Before you know it, after two coins, you're up 400x, right? So that's how that game works. And I wanted to point that out just because some people think that retail traders just magically move the market with their measly $500 or $1,000. It's really not the case. It's the institutions and the players like Justin Sun that move the markets with their multi-million-dollar buys and sells. And I'm not talking like 1 or 2 million. I'm talking like $50 to $100 million buys and sells to move these markets. And that doesn't even count like what's going on the over-the-counter markets, which the over-the-counter markets, just think of it like under the table, right? It's just, you're not going to see the actual trades go through on any public exchange. If they want to buy $100 million worth of Bitcoin at the current price, they can get it, right? That's just how it works. So keep that stuff in mind. I have a lot of friends that tend to think that this is all just random, and it's not. It's definitely not random. There's definitely a lot of collusion that takes place behind the scenes. Whether you're talking with the exchanges, the owners of the exchanges, and the people that actually own these assets. You know, a lot of times these exchanges and these companies will incentivize other companies and exchanges in order to carry their new token, and they incentivize them by actually giving them the token. So let's say I print out, 100 million encrypted coins, and I want to get in the telecom space, and I'm going to shoot T-Mobile, 2 million coins to open up my asset on their platform so the users can use them, right? So if they put it out to all their users and they own 2 million of them, they're going to make an absolute killing right along with us, right? And they barely had to lift a finger, okay? That's how that stuff works. So if you guys think it's just because Joe Blow down the street's got, $20 in the market and he's cashing out at 100, you're sorely mistaken. So let's get into the other news here. Bitcoin bulls may win big as two key moving averages prepare to cross. And so this is like the one shining light of news that I saw this morning, aside from all the fear that's going on in Cointelegraph. They're kind of playing both sides here, but it says that history of repeating itself would be good news for those looking to enjoy further BTC price upside. So it says that Bitcoin lost a key bear market trend line last week as it shed almost 12%, but other chart data offers a silver lining for the bulls, as noted by popular Twitter user Dave the Wave. Never heard of him. Long-term moving averages are about to repeat classic bullish behavior. And this is the type of stuff, like you see some of these lines they throw out in the articles to frighten people and scare them. And I thought this was definitely one of them here. It says, BTC disappointed over the weekend as it put in lows not seen since the end of July. Oh no, 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago? Lows since the end of July? Oh my God, watch out. Absolutely insane. The stuff that these people put out is just, it's mind-numbing. And just keep in mind, like we talked about this a little bit yesterday, the narrative is always going to be so hype and so euphoric when you're at the top of a market, i.e. the Coinbase IPO, i.e. Saylor, Musk, everybody, all these billionaires supposedly getting into the market after Bitcoin was already up like 15x, okay? You'd be an idiot to be selling at that point, right? And right now, I have other friends. I need some new friends. I have other friends that are saying that they're waiting to buy lower. Bitcoin's going to 10K. And I'm like, dude, it already retraced like 70% or more at this point. Like, why wouldn't you just like start dollar cost averaging in? Okay, so if you're right, you can buy up a shitload at 10K, even though I don't think they are. But, the narrative is so negative right now that the market's already dropped so much and they're waiting for just a slightly better entry. It makes absolutely zero sense to me. And they're watching these mainstream guys like the O'Learys and some other dude, I forget his name, Sotheby or something with an S. I don't know, but these guys are all talking about it crashing even further, which, hey, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but the same guy is also the guy that bought at 60K. So, he wants to buy the top and then wants to watch it fall even further. Hopefully he can get a better entry. And I'm just like, dude, start buying now, because if you're wrong, you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass when it goes from, which it just did, 17.5 to 25K. That was a 50% move, right? What if it goes from 17.5 and it starts testing into the 30s or 40s, and now you just missed out on 100% gain because you wanted just a slightly better entry, right? Makes absolutely zero sense. I mean, I've been doing this for so long. Like I said, I've made these mistakes before, very, very early in my career, right? So I've been through this. I've thought like they've thought, and I've gone through the cycle here. But if you're not experienced, you're not going to know any better. So take it from someone who's done it already. I've bought at the wrong times. I've sold at the wrong times. I've moved from one asset to another at the wrong time. I've done it all, right? I got lucky. I made some good investments. It played out great. And then all of a sudden I thought I was a pro trader, in my first year of getting into cryptocurrencies. It's not the case. Everybody has those stories. If you haven't lost your ass in crypto, you haven't been in it long enough, right? So take it from me. If you're looking for these better entries, they may show up, they may not. That's why it's better to have a, what do I call it the other day? Like a shotgun blast versus a sniper, right? You want to just get an area. You don't want to have a pinpoint, try to fucking laser scope this shit. You want to have a general area that you're entering in. It's like bird shot. You're going to hit a bunch of shit around it. That's kind of what you want to do with investing. You're not trying to be a fucking Mark Wahlberg sniping that shit from 3 miles away. Okay, that's not going to happen with crypto. You're never going to call the top. You're never going to call the bottom. But what you should try to do is get a general area and start mapping these lines out on your charts, right? Pretty easy. Support, resistance. Look at previous highs, previous lows, and you can start drawing some lines. Use some fibs. You don't need a million indicators. You can literally just use like 2 or 3, and you'll have a general idea of what's taking place here. So aside from that rant, Barron's will not be subscribing to you for $8 a month. Who in their right mind would do that? I will read your headline though. Bitcoin prices dip as crypto markets anticipate Fed's Powell could be next catalyst. Okay, again with the fear mongering, right? What's Powell going to say? Is it going to dip lower? Like I said, if it starts breaking like this 21,750, I can't remember for the life of me what it was, 21,750 or 2750. I might just pull up the newsletter and look it up. But if it starts breaking down past that, then I might start considering 17.5 getting tested again, as that was the most local low. But we'll see. Now, data shows Bitcoin and altcoins at risk of a 20% drop to new yearly lows. This was a couple days ago, August 22nd. Again, total crypto market cap dropped to $1 trillion support, and weak stablecoin demand and a largely absent funding rate reflect traders' negative sentiment. So more fear, more uncertainty, more doubt. Again, institutional investor sentiment remained negative as Bitcoin outflows continue. 14 hours ago, right? Institutional investors exit Bitcoin. Do you really think institutional investors are exiting Bitcoin? They've already exited it. Did you not realize that? The rug pull was when Coinbase IPO'd at whatever it was, 68,000. Magically just happened to be the top of the market. Do you think that's a coincidence? Do you really think that's just an accident that just happened? No, this is very well thought out, planned, methodical. In order to sell large positions like these institutions have, you need to have maximum hype events. Case in point, Musk going on SNL and Doge bullshit coin falling up flat on its face like 80% after that, right? Obviously it wasn't immediate, but it took a huge hit. And I think it retraced from like 70 cents down to like 12 or whatever the hell it was, right? Huge, massive hits. But again, huge narrative going along with Musk being on SNL, thinking that he was going to pump the coin up even higher because what was the narrative? Doge going to $1. Didn't even come close, 70 something cents, right? Everybody thought that you were supposed to buy. So now I'm just using my friends and other people that are not I guess, experts in this space, and I shouldn't claim to be an expert because I'm not an expert. I've been around for a long time, but people that are unfamiliar with the space, that are watching Kevin O'Leary and these other tool bags on mainstream publications, and then they're just regurgitating the garbage that they're spitting out. I use those as my gauge. So what are my friends saying? What's the herd mentality? Good time to do the opposite. So these guys waiting for 10, 15K, whatever these other guys are spouting out their mouth. And I guarantee you, actually I don't guarantee you, but I would say the chances are very high that those numbers do not come into play, at least not yet. I think we're still going to have some sort of retrace into the 40 something Ks more than likely before we even start to go down to those levels. So again, with the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, institutions would be buying at these levels. You're talking about an asset that was 65, 68K, and now the most recent low is 17.5. They're buying here. Keep in mind, that was when all of these cryptocurrency companies are becoming insolvent. Celsius, Voyager, Luna crashed, burned, right? All that stuff was taking place near the bottoms, right? Huge fear narrative taking place. Again, the exact opposite of what happens at the top. Hope and euphoria, Coinbase IPOing, falls on its face. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, 17.5 is dropping lower. Again, convincing people to sell out of their positions to scoop up cheap coins for the next rally up. Whether that's 100% or 400%, who knows? But I do think that we are in line for some sort of price movement to the upside here with all these news articles that are coming out. Again, why the crypto market looks unhealthy with Bitcoin at 21K, expert says. Who's this expert? You're a crypto expert. How much money you got? Bitcoin and the crypto market continue to move sideways over the past week, blah, blah, blah. Who is this guy or lady? I don't know. I don't even care. Justin Bennett. Okay, Justin Bennett, how much money you got? You crypto expert, my ass. All right. Next up, 3 reasons why the Bitcoin price bottom is not. Do you see all of this confluence here? There's similar words being used. I've seen crypto winter on like Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, all sorts of different publications. They're really trying to freak people out here when it's already dropped 70%. Like I said, shotgun blast, buying at certain levels, dollar cost averaging in. Worst thing you can do is buy an asset and watch it drop like 15% the next day. That sucks, right? So that's why you need to have dry powder available to take advantage of these prices here. So let's see. Last thing, I had the SPY. We already talked about that. So you guys can see what we're saying here. I'm going to leave a link in the description for the newsletter. We get a free version out. You guys can get our updates every day. We're pretty consistent with the market updates. Obviously, if stuff isn't really moving, we're not going to just blow up your email box here. But we do have quite a bit of good information. And if you guys subscribe, you guys can go and check out all of our previous posts that we've made too on top of that. So you guys can kind of see where our head's at. You just immediately have access to everything. Just click the link in the email after you sign up. If you guys want to support the channel, we also got the paid version too. You'll get our trade updates and assets that we're looking at, assets that we're dollar cost averaging into that you might want to consider yourself. So with that being said, that'll do it for this edition of the Encrypted Capital Recap. If you guys like what you heard, please drop us a like, comment, and subscribe. Catch you all in the next video.